Matthew Cook stumbled through his mansion doors at 6 in the morning, still drunk from Lillian's bed, expecting silence. Instead, he found his entire family, his business partners, and his mother-in-law sitting in his living room with his 8 months pregnant wife, standing in the center, holding a DNA test, a stack of receipts, and a smile so cold it sobered him instantly. The living room lights blazed like an interrogation room. Matthew froze in the doorway, Lillian's perfume clinging to his wrinkled shirt. His mother sat on the cream sofa, her face carved from stone. His 3 business partners occupied the chairs near the fireplace, arms crossed. Gloria's mother stood behind the couch, eyes red but fierce, and there, in the center, stood Gloria. She wore a black dress that hugged her pregnant belly, hair pulled back in a severe bun, diamond earrings catching the light. She looked like a prosecutor about to deliver closing arguments. The coffee table was covered with manila folders, a laptop connected to the television, and a small wooden box. "Close the door, Matthew," Gloria said, her voice steady as granite. "You'll want privacy for this." He closed the door with shaking hands. "Gloria, what is this? Why is everyone—" "Sit down." She pointed to a single chair positioned facing everyone else. "Now." Matthew sat. His mother wouldn't meet his eyes. Richard stared at him with open disgust. Gloria picked up a remote control. "I've called everyone here because I'm tired of being the crazy one, the hormonal pregnant woman who imagines things, the paranoid wife who doesn't trust her successful husband." She clicked the remote. The television screen lit up. "So I'm going to show you all who Matthew Cook really is." The first image appeared. Matthew and Lillian at a restaurant, his hand on her thigh, leaning in to kiss her neck. The timestamp read 3 months ago. "That's Valentino's," Gloria said calmly. "Our anniversary restaurant. He took her there on our actual anniversary while I was home with food poisoning." The next image, Matthew and Lillian entering a hotel, then another, them on a beach in the Bahamas. "I hired an investigator 4 months ago," Gloria continued. "These are highlights from 63 documented encounters over the past 18 months. Matthew's mother made a small sound of pain. Gloria clicked again. A spreadsheet filled the screen. $340,000 spent on Lillian Gish in 14 months. Cartier bracelet, $12,000. Apartment deposit and 6 months rent, $48,000. BMW lease, $52,000. Vacation to Bali, $23,000. Paris shopping trip, $37,000. Richard leaned forward. "Where did that money come from?" Gloria turned to him. "Excellent question. Matthew, would you like to tell them, or should I?" Matthew couldn't form words. "The money came from our company operational account," Gloria said. "Matthew has been embezzling for over a year. I have all the transfers, all the fake expense reports. I've already given copies to the company's lawyers and the district attorney's office." The room exploded. Richard shot to his feet. "You've been stealing from us?" Gloria held up her hand. "I'm not finished." She clicked the remote. A video began playing. Gloria herself sitting in what looked like a lawyer's office. "2 years ago," video Gloria said, "Matthew's company was dying. The banks refused to extend credit. We were 30 days from bankruptcy. I sold my mother's restaurant. My only inheritance, $800,000. I gave Matthew every penny. I believed in us." The video cut to a different day. 1 year ago, his mother had a stroke. "I slept on hospital floors for 6 days while he was closing deals." Where was he? He was in Miami, at the Fontainebleau Hotel, with Lillian. I have the receipts. While I held his mother's hand and prayed she wouldn't die, he was getting drunk by a pool with his mistress. Matthew's mother stood abruptly and walked out. Matthew heard her crying in the hallway. The video continued. 3 years ago, I was pregnant with our first baby. Matthew doesn't know this because I never got the chance to tell him. I was 12 weeks along. I'd planned this elaborate surprise. The night I planned to tell him, he came home at 2 in the morning, smelling like perfume that wasn't mine. 2 days later, I started bleeding at work. I drove myself to the hospital. I lost our baby alone in an emergency room while he was at a client meeting. I found the hotel receipt in his jacket pocket 3 days later. Gloria clicked off the video. Her mother was openly weeping. Richard looked like he wanted to vomit. One more thing, Gloria said quietly. She opened the wooden box and pulled out papers. Last month, Robert Palmer tried to buy our company for pennies on the dollar. You were ready to accept because you thought we had no choice. I worked 72 hours straight. I restructured our entire debt, brought in 2 new investors, saved this company. Where was Matthew? She handed the papers to Richard. He was in Napa, wine tasting, on the company credit card. Richard looked up, his jaw tight. Where? Ask Lillian, Gloria said. Matthew finally found his voice. Gloria, please, I can explain. Explain what? She walked toward him. Explain how you stole from your partners. Explain how you abandoned your mother during a stroke. Explain how I lost our first baby alone. Her voice rose. Explain how you threw away 8 years of marriage for a woman who doesn't even love you. You don't know that. Gloria pulled out her phone and held it out. A text message conversation appeared. Lillian's messages to someone named Derek. He's so pathetic. Spent another $20,000 this month. Boss says keep it up. The company will collapse by Q4. Then we move in for the buyout. Derek's response. You sleeping with him? Lillian. Have to. He's suspicious when I don't. Close your eyes and think of the bonus LL. Gloria pocketed her phone. Lillian Gish was hired by Robert Palmer to seduce you and destroy you from the inside. Congratulations, Matthew. You fell in love with a corporate spy and paid her 6 figures to ruin your own company. Matthew gripped the chair arms to keep from falling. Gloria reached up and removed her diamond earrings, the ones her grandmother gave her on her deathbed, the ones she'd worn every day of their marriage. She placed them on the coffee table. I'm done, she said simply. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow morning. I'm taking my maiden name back, Swanson. This baby will be a Swanson, not a Cook. You all wanted to know why I called you here. I want witnesses. I want everyone who told me I was lucky to marry him to see exactly what I married. A liar, a thief, a coward. She turned to his partners. I've prepared a full financial report of every penny he stole. My lawyer will send it tomorrow. I'm not pressing charges on the condition that he pays back every cent plus interest and resigns immediately. She turned to her mother. Mom, let's go. As they walked toward the door, Gloria stopped and looked back. The movers will come for my things tomorrow. Don't be here. And Matthew, don't look for me. Don't call. Don't show up anywhere near me or this baby. You chose Lillian. Live with that choice. She walked out. Her mother followed. Then Richard and the other partners filed out without a word. The door closed. Matthew sat alone in the mansion, staring at Gloria's diamond earrings on the table. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. Matthew Cook. A man's voice, professional, cold. Yes? This is James Chen from Baxter Industries. We just received a video file from Gloria Swanson's legal team documenting your embezzlement and affair. Effective immediately, we're terminating our contract. You have 48 hours to return our equipment. The line went dead. Within 30 minutes, 4 major clients called to terminate contracts. Gloria had sent evidence to every client the company had. Matthew pulled up his email. Subject lines from competitors, journalists, vendors. Request for comment on embezzlement allegations. His phone rang one more time. Lillian's voice was bright, amused. Did you really think I wouldn't get caught? Your wife's little show was perfect. My boss is thrilled. Thanks for making it so easy, Matthew. The jewelry was nice, but watching you crash and burn, that's the real payment. She hung up, laughing. Matthew looked at Gloria's diamond earrings on the coffee table. In the growing light, they seemed to accuse him. He picked them up with shaking hands. He'd thrown away everything real for something fake, and now the whole world knew it. His phone buzzed with a breaking news alert. Tech CEO under investigation for embezzlement to fund affair. His photo stared back at him from the screen. Gloria had destroyed him. Completely, publicly, methodically. She'd planned every detail, gathered every piece of evidence, and detonated his entire life in one coordinated strike. And the worst part? He deserved every second of it. Chapter 2. The Reckoning. Matthew Cook woke the next morning on his living room floor, still wearing yesterday's clothes. Gloria's diamond earrings clutched in his fist like a dying man holding a rosary, and realized the nightmare was real when his phone started ringing with the one call he'd been dreading since dawn. His lawyer, telling him the district attorney wanted him at the courthouse by noon or they'd issue a warrant for his arrest. The sun burned through the windows. Matthew's head pounded from the bottle of scotch he'd emptied after everyone left, but the alcohol had done nothing to erase the memory of Gloria's face. His phone wouldn't stop buzzing. 53 missed calls, 112 text messages, over 300 unread emails. He ignored all of it and dragged himself to the shower. He dressed in his best suit, armor for the battle ahead, and caught his reflection in the mirror. He'd lost weight. Grey streaked his temples, lines carved his face. He looked like a man whose life had imploded in less than 24 hours. By the time he arrived at the courthouse, media was waiting. Cameras flashed as he pushed through the crowd. Inside, his lawyer Dennis met him with a face that said everything about how bad this would be. "They have everything," Dennis said, leading Matthew to a conference room. "Bank records, expense reports, credit card statements, hotel receipts, photos, videos. Gloria's been building this case for months. It's airtight." "How much time am I looking at?" 2 to 5 years if we go to trial and lose. But they're offering a deal, full restitution, 340,000 plus 50,000 in penalties, 2 years probation, 500 hours community service. You resign from the company immediately and you don't contest the divorce or custody. And if I don't take it, then you go to trial, it becomes a media circus, and you probably serve actual prison time. Matthew, take the deal. 3 hours later, Matthew stood before a judge and pleaded no contest to embezzlement charges. The judge's eyes held nothing but contempt. When he finally left the courthouse, his phone rang. Richard. "The board voted," Richard said without greeting. "You're out. Effective immediately. We're buying out your shares at minimum valuation. Don't come back to the office. Security has your photo." The line went dead. He drove back to the mansion in a daze. When he pulled into the driveway, a moving truck blocked it. Men were carrying furniture and boxes out. Gloria's things. A woman in a business suit stood on the steps. "Mr. Cook, I'm Amanda Reeves, Mrs. Swanson's attorney. The movers have a list of items that belong to Mrs. Swanson. Per the prenuptial agreement, any property she brought into the marriage or purchased with her own funds remains hers. I have an injunction preventing you from interfering." Matthew sat in his car and watched them take everything that had made the house a home. Box after box, piece after piece, the movers stripped the house of Gloria's presence. When they finished, Amanda handed Matthew an envelope. "Divorce papers. You have 30 days to respond, but Mrs. Swanson expects you not to contest. You'll also find a custody arrangement and restraining order. You're not to come within 500 feet of Mrs. Swanson for 1 year." Amanda walked to her car, then turned back. "For what it's worth, Mr. Cook, I've been a divorce attorney for 20 years. I've seen terrible husbands. But what you did, spending hundreds of thousands on a mistress while your pregnant wife sold her mother's restaurant to save your company, that's a new level of low. I hope you never forget what you threw away." Matthew went inside. The house echoed with emptiness. In the kitchen, he found a note taped to the refrigerator. "Your mother is with me. She'll call you if and when she's ready. Don't contact her. G." He opened the refrigerator, empty except for condiments. The pantry, cleared out. She'd left him nothing. Upstairs, on his pillow, he found another envelope. Inside was a single ultrasound photo dated 3 years ago, written on the bottom in Gloria's handwriting, "Baby A, 12 weeks. Lost at 12 weeks, 4 days. You were in Miami." Matthew collapsed on the bed. The ultrasound clutched to his chest and sobbed. He'd never known. She'd been carrying his child, and he'd been in a hotel with Lillian. Then Gloria had lost the baby alone. His phone rang. St. Mary's Hospital. "Mr. Cook, this is Dr. Wilson at St. Mary's. Your wife is in labor." Matthew was out the door before the doctor finished speaking. He broke every speed limit, parked illegally, and ran through the emergency entrance. A security guard stopped him at the elevators. "I need to see Gloria Swanson. She's in labor. I'm the father." The guard checked his computer, made a phone call, then shook his head. "I'm sorry, sir. Mrs. Swanson has a no-visitor order. You're not allowed in the maternity ward." "That's my daughter being born. Sir, if you don't calm down, I'll have to call additional security." Matthew forced himself to breathe. "Can you at least tell me if she's okay?" The guard made another call, then nodded. "Labor is progressing normally. Both mother and baby are stable." Matthew sank into a chair in the waiting room. Around him, families came and went. Excited fathers, grandparents arriving with balloons. He watched them all, invisible and alone. Hours passed. Matthew couldn't eat, couldn't think. He texted Gloria's mother, begging for updates. No response. At 3:47 in the morning, the elevator opened and Gloria's mother stepped out. She saw Matthew and her face hardened. "You have some nerve showing up here." Matthew stood. "Please, is Gloria okay? Is the baby—" "They're both fine. You have a daughter, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect." Relief flooded through him. "Thank God. Can I see them?" "No." Gloria's mother stepped closer. "You lost that right. You want to know what Gloria said when the doctor asked if she wanted you in the delivery room? She said, 'He chose not to be here for the 9 months that mattered. I don't need him here for the 5 minutes that don't.' That's what she thinks of you now. You're irrelevant." "What's the baby's name?" "Maya. Maya Swanson. Just Swanson." Gloria filed the birth certificate with her name only. "You're not listed as the father." "She can't do that. I have rights." "You have no rights. You signed them away in the plea deal. No contesting custody. Gloria has full legal and physical custody." The elevator doors closed on her disgusted face. Matthew walked to the maternity ward windows. Through the glass he could see into the nursery, rows of bassinets with tiny bundled babies. A nurse was placing a new one in the front row. He could just make out the name card, "Baby Girl Swanson." He pressed his hand against the glass, watching his daughter sleep 20 feet away. A security guard approached. "Sir, you need to leave the maternity ward." "That's my daughter." "Sir, please." "I'm going." He took one last look at Maya through the glass, then walked away. In his car, he found a manila envelope tucked under his windshield wiper. Inside, a photograph of Maya, eyes closed, wrapped in a pink blanket. On the back, Gloria's handwriting. "Born 3:47 a.m. You arrived at 4:15 a.m. That's who you are." Matthew drove home to his empty mansion and sat on the floor of the yellow nursery Gloria had painted. He could still smell the paint. Another envelope was waiting on the floor. Inside, Maya's birth certificate. Mother, Gloria Swanson. Father, unknown. A note. "You wanted to know what you lost? This is it. She'll grow up knowing her mother loves her. That's all she needs. The father space on her birth certificate is blank because that's what you were to us. Blank, absent, nothing. If you want to change that, figure out how to be something other than the man who threw his family away. Until then, stay away from us both. Gloria." His phone rang. First National Bank. "We're concerned about your ability to pay your mortgage. We'll need proof of employment within 10 business days or we'll begin foreclosure." Matthew hung up. The bank would take the house. The company was gone. His family was gone. His daughter was born without his name. He lay down on the floor of the yellow nursery and stared at the ceiling, holding his daughter's birth certificate. This was rock bottom, and he'd built this pit himself, one selfish choice at a time. Somewhere across the city, Gloria was holding Maya for the first time, surrounded by people who loved them both. And Matthew had no one to blame but himself. Chapter 3. The Fall. 3 months after watching his daughter born through hospital glass, Matthew Cook stood in line at a construction site clutching a lunch he'd packed in a paper bag, waiting for the foreman to assign him to a crew, when his phone buzzed with a news alert showing Gloria cutting a ribbon in front of a pristine storefront with Maya strapped to her chest, and the headline, "From betrayed wife to business owner, Gloria Swanson opens artisan bakery." The photo showed Gloria radiant in a cream dress, one hand on oversized scissors and the other supporting Maya's small back. Behind her, the bakery window displayed elaborate cakes. A crowd of well-wishers surrounded her. Matthew zoomed in on Maya. 3 months old now, he could see her tiny profile against Gloria's chest, one small fist visible. His daughter, a stranger. "Cook!" The foreman's voice snapped him back. "You deaf! Grab a shovel and get to the foundation site." Matthew shoved his phone away and picked up equipment. This was his life now. Construction work, manual labor, every muscle screaming by day's end. He'd gone from corner office to construction site in 3 months. The bank had taken the mansion 6 weeks ago. Matthew now rented a studio apartment with thin walls and questionable plumbing. His furniture consisted of a mattress on the floor, a folding chair, and a plastic table. He'd sold everything else to make restitution payments, $390,000. That's what he owed. He paid $2,000 monthly from his construction wages and second job at a warehouse. At this rate, it would take over 16 years. During lunch, Matthew read the article about Gloria's bakery. "This bakery represents freedom," Gloria was quoted. "After leaving a toxic marriage, I realized I'd spent years supporting someone else's dreams. Now I'm building my own." The article continued. Swanson financed the bakery through personal savings and a small business loan. She works 6 days a week, often with her infant daughter nearby. "Maya is learning what a working mother looks like," Swanson says. "She'll grow up knowing that women don't need rescuing. We do the rescuing ourselves." His co-worker Frank sat down next to him. "Whatever's on that screen, it ain't worth more than your sandwich. Looking backwards just makes you walk into walls." After work, Matthew drove across town to Gloria's bakery. He parked down the street where he could see the entrance, but wouldn't be obvious. The bakery was busy. Through the window, Matthew could see Gloria behind the counter, laughing at something a customer said. She looked happy, actually happy. Matthew sat in his car until closing time. He watched Gloria flip the sign to closed, saw her emerge with Maya in the carrier, and walk to a modest sedan. She looked tired but satisfied, the kind of tired that comes from good work. Matthew drove back to his studio, microwaved a dollar store meal, and ate it sitting on his mattress. His phone buzzed. Court reminder. Community service hours due next week. Current progress, 88 of 500 completed. Matthew pulled up his banking app. After rent, utilities, food, and restitution, he had $217 left for the month. He searched Gloria's bakery name. 5-star reviews filled the screen. Someone had posted photos of the interior, exposed brick, hanging plants, chalkboard menus, vintage chairs. One customer had posted, "The owner's adorable baby sleeps right in the shop." The photo showed a portable crib in a corner, Maya sleeping while Gloria worked at a desk nearby. His daughter was being raised in a bakery because Gloria had no one to help her. He texted his mother for the 100th time, "Mom, please, I just want to know how you're doing." Delivered, but not read. Matthew lay back on his mattress. A water stain spread across the ceiling. His entire life had become this room, small, stained, falling apart. His phone buzzed. An email from Gloria's attorney. "Mr. Cook, Mrs. Swanson has been made aware of your attempts to observe her from your vehicle. While you haven't violated the restraining order, your presence is unwanted. This serves as official notice that any further surveillance will be considered harassment. Mrs. Swanson requests that you respect her wishes to be left alone." Matthew typed, "Please tell Gloria I'm sorry, I just wanted to see Maya, I'll stay away." Response, "Noted." Matthew deleted Gloria's bakery from his browser, her number from his favorites, every photo of her from his phone except one, their wedding day. He kept that as a reminder of what he'd destroyed. The next morning he reported to community service. serving meals at a homeless shelter. An older man came through the line. "What's your story? DUI?" "Embezzlement." The man whistled. "What did you spend it on?" Matthew's throat tightened. "A woman who didn't love me." The man studied him. "That's worse than gambling. At least with gambling you might win something." After his shift, the supervisor Helen called him in. "You're quiet. Most court-ordered volunteers complain. You just work." "No point complaining. I read about your case. Your wife really took you down hard." "She had every right to." "What made you show up here every week without complaint?" "Because it should have been me," Matthew said quietly. "If things had gone different, I'd be the one going through that line asking for food. The only difference between me and them is luck." Helen nodded slowly. "First honest answer I've heard in 5 years. Keep that perspective." Matthew drove home exhausted. At his door he found a package. Inside was a framed photo, Maya in her bassinet from the hospital, awake, eyes open, one tiny fist near her face. Tucked in the frame. "She has your eyes. That's all she'll ever have of you. Make peace with that. G." Matthew held the photo and something broke inside his chest. His daughter had his eyes. Gloria could have said nothing, but she'd sent him this. He set the photo on his plastic table. It was the only decoration in his apartment. Matthew ate his dinner sitting on the floor, looking at his daughter's face, and made a promise out loud. "I'll be someone worthy of knowing you, even if it takes the rest of my life. Even if you never want to know me. I'll become someone who deserved to be your father." The water stain on the ceiling seemed to shift, transforming from monster to map. Matthew chose to see it as a map, because he needed to believe there was a path forward from rock bottom. Somewhere across town, Gloria was probably putting Maya to bed, reading stories, singing songs, building a life full of love, without him. And that was exactly what he deserved. But maybe, if he worked hard enough, suffered long enough, changed deeply enough, maybe one day he could be something other than the mistake that shaped his daughter's life. Maybe. It was the smallest word with the heaviest weight. But it was all he had. Chapter 4. The Distance. 1 year and 3 months after Gloria placed her diamond earrings on that coffee table and walked out forever, Matthew stood outside her bakery at closing time, watching his 15-month-old daughter take her first steps through the window while a stranger held her hands, and realized the restraining order had expired yesterday, which meant he could finally, legally, ask for what he'd lost. Even though asking felt like begging and begging felt like breathing for the first time in over a year. Matthew had memorized Gloria's schedule by studying the bakery's social media, making sure he never violated the order. The order expired at midnight yesterday. He'd waited in his apartment watching the clock, and the moment it turned 12:01 a.m., he'd allowed himself to hope. Now, standing across the street, Matthew watched Maya wobble between a chair and a woman. Ramona, Gloria's college roommate. Maya's tiny hands gripped Ramona's fingers, her face scrunched in concentration. Gloria sat at a corner table reviewing paperwork, but she looked up every few seconds to watch Maya. When Maya reached the chair successfully, both women cheered. Maya clapped her chubby hands together, delighted. Matthew's chest ached. His daughter had just walked for the first time, and he'd seen it through a window. The bakery had changed. More seating, fresh paint, a new sign. Business was clearly good. He waited until Ramona left, until Gloria flipped the sign to closed, until the last customer departed. Then he crossed the street and knocked on the locked glass door. Gloria's head snapped up. She saw him, and her entire body went rigid. For a long moment, she just stared. Then she picked up Maya, settled her on her hip, and walked to the door. She didn't open it. "The order expired," Matthew said loud enough to be heard. "I'm not violating anything, I just want to talk, please." Gloria's jaw worked. Maya babbled something, reaching for colorful macarons. Gloria adjusted her automatically. Finally, she unlocked the door, but kept her body between Matthew and Maya. "You have 5 minutes. Out here." She stepped onto the sidewalk, pulling the door shut. Maya twisted in her arms, trying to see the pretty colors. Matthew took in every detail of his daughter. Dark curls like Gloria's, his eyes, round cheeks, tiny hands grabbing at Gloria's collar, denim overalls with a white shirt underneath. "She's beautiful," Matthew whispered. "I know." They stood in silence. "I've been in therapy, twice a week. I've paid back $180,000. I work construction during the day, warehouse at night, community service on weekends. I live in a studio that costs $600 a month and eat ramen because every extra dollar goes toward what I owe. I'm not telling you for sympathy. I need you to know I'm trying to become someone different." Gloria's expression didn't change. "Good for you. I want to see her. See them both. I want to be in Maya's life. Whatever that looks like. Whatever you're willing to allow." "No." The word was simple, final, devastating. "Gloria, you don't get to show up after 15 months and ask for access to my daughter, our daughter, biologically. My daughter in every way that matters. You weren't there when she had colic and screamed for 6 hours straight. You weren't there when she got her first tooth. You weren't there when she had a fever of 103 and I spent the night in the ER alone. You weren't there for her first word, Mama. You weren't there when she started crawling, when she pulled herself up, when she took her first steps 20 minutes ago." Gloria's voice stayed level, but her eyes burned. "You don't get to miss everything that was hard and show up asking for the good parts." "I know, you're right, but I'm her father. Biology doesn't make you a father. Love makes you a father. Showing up makes you a father. You're just a sperm donor who shares her eye color." Maya reached for Matthew suddenly. "Hi," she said clearly. It was like being stabbed and healed simultaneously. "Hi," Matthew said back, his voice breaking. Gloria pulled Maya's hand back. "No, baby, we don't talk to strangers." "I'm not a stranger, I'm her. You're a stranger to her. She doesn't know you. She won't know you." Gloria took a step back. "You want to prove you've changed? Pay back the $800,000 you owe me." Matthew's mind went blank. "What?" "The money I gave you from my mother's restaurant. $800,000. You owe me that money. When you pay it back, with interest, let's say another $200,000, then we'll discuss whether you deserve to know Maya. That's 10 years at my current salary. She'll be 11. Then you better work harder." Gloria's smile was ice. "I gave you my entire inheritance to save your company. You spent more than that on your mistress in 1 year. Fair is fair. You want access to your daughter? Buy it the same way you bought everything else. That's not fair." "Fair?" Gloria's voice rose. "You want to talk about fair? I lost a baby alone. I built your company back from nothing while pregnant. I slept on hospital floors for your mother. I gave you everything and you gave it all to a woman who was paid to destroy you. Now I've built this." She gestured to the bakery. "Without you, despite you, because of the hole you left. And you think you can show up with your sad face and therapy receipts and I'll just hand you my daughter?" Maya started to fuss. Gloria immediately softened, bouncing her gently. "It's okay, baby. Mama's okay." Matthew watched Gloria soothe their daughter. They were a complete unit. Gloria had built a life that didn't need him. "I'll pay it back," Matthew said quietly. "All of it. However long it takes. You do that." Gloria reached for the bakery door. "And Matthew, stop standing outside my business watching us. I appreciate you respecting boundaries. Keep doing that. When you pay your debt, if you pay your debt, my lawyer will contact you. Until then, stay away." She went inside and locked the door. Matthew stood on the sidewalk and watched Gloria gather her things, strap Maya into a stroller, and exit through a back door. His phone showed 9:47 p.m. He'd driven 40 minutes. The encounter had lasted less than 5 minutes. Matthew walked to his car. He pulled out his phone and opened his banking app. Current balance, $183. Restitution payment due in 3 days, $2,000. But the $800,000 Gloria was demanding, he did the math 3 times, 9 years and 4 months. Assuming he never had an emergency, Maya would be 10.5 years old, a decade. He'd miss her entire childhood. The fair thing would be to give up, to let Gloria raise Maya in peace. But Matthew thought about Maya's face when she'd reached for him. That innocent curiosity. If he gave up now, Maya would grow up knowing her father abandoned her twice. Matthew started his car and drove to the warehouse for his overnight shift. He moved boxes for 8 hours, his body on autopilot while his mind calculated scenarios. During his break at 3 a.m., his phone buzzed. An email from an unknown address. Subject, payment plan proposal. Mr. Cook, after consideration, Mrs. Swanson is willing to accept monthly payments of $5,000 toward her claim of $800,000 plus interest. At this rate, the debt will be satisfied in 14 years. Alternatively, if you can pay $10,000 monthly, the term reduces to 7 years. Mrs. Swanson is willing to allow supervised visitation to begin once you have paid $380,000 of the principal. At that time, you may see Maya for 1 hour per month under my supervision. These terms are non-negotiable. If you agree, respond within 48 hours. Amanda Reeves. Matthew read it 4 times. Gloria wasn't trying to keep him out forever. She was testing him. He calculated, at $5,000 per month, he'd need 3 jobs. He'd be working 7 days a week, 18-hour days, no social life, no rest. But in 3 years and 2 months, if he could maintain that pace, he'd hit $380,000 and could start seeing Maya. She'd be 4.5. Matthew typed, I agree to $10,000 monthly payments. I will earn the right to know my daughter. Thank you. Response came within minutes. Contract will be sent tomorrow. First payment due within 30 days. Don't make me regret this. Amanda. Matthew finished his warehouse shift as the sun rose. He went home, showered, ate a protein bar, and went to his construction job. During lunch, he applied for weekend work at 3 different companies. By end of day, he'd secured a Sunday landscaping job. That night, he taught himself advanced coding through free online courses. He'd sleep 4 hours a night, work 7 days a week, give up everything that wasn't essential, because Gloria had given him a gift, a path forward. Impossible, brutal, likely to break him, but a path nonetheless. And at the end of that path was his daughter, $10,000 a month, 7 years. Maya would be 8 years old when the debt was paid. Maybe he could become someone she wouldn't be ashamed to know. Maybe he could earn the forgiveness he didn't deserve. Maybe was still the smallest word with the heaviest weight. But now it had a number, $800,000. And Matthew would pay every cent. Chapter 5. The Grind. 2 years after Matthew signed the payment contract that felt more like a prison sentence written in his own blood, he stood in a gas station at 4 in the morning calculating whether he could afford both coffee and a breakfast sandwich when his phone showed a notification. Local baker Gloria Swanson expands to 5 locations, lands cookbook deal with major publisher. The article loaded slowly on his cracked phone screen. Matthew paid for just the coffee. The sandwich would have to wait, and sat in his car reading while the pre-dawn cold seeped through his worn jacket. Gloria's face filled his screen. Professional photo for the article. She looked polished, successful, confident. The article detailed her rise, from single location to regional chain, from local baker to food television personality, from abandoned wife to self-made businesswoman. I tell my daughter that we don't wait for life to get better, Gloria was quoted. We make it better ourselves. She watches me work hard every day. That's the inheritance I'm giving her, the knowledge that women don't need rescuing. We build our own kingdoms. The article included a photo of Maya, now 3 years old, standing on a stool wearing a tiny apron, helping Gloria frost a cake. Maya was laughing, chocolate smudged on her cheek. Her dark curls were pulled back in pigtails. She looked so much older than the baby he'd seen through hospital glass. His daughter. 3 years of life he knew nothing about. 3 years of words he'd never heard her speak. Games he'd never seen her play, tears he'd never wiped away. He was connected to her by blood and law, but separated by choices that couldn't be undone. He checked his payment spreadsheet, the document that had become more important than any business plan he'd ever created. Total paid to Gloria, $240,000. remaining $560,000 plus accruing interest. Years remaining at current pace, 4 more years. Maya would be 7 years old, but he was ahead of schedule. The contract required $10,000 monthly, but some months Matthew had managed $12,000, even $15,000 when freelance coding projects came through. He'd sacrificed everything to pay faster: sleep, health, comfort, any semblance of a life beyond work. His third alarm went off. Time for construction. Matthew drained the coffee that had already gone cold, started his car, and drove to the site. His body ached constantly now, a permanent state from 18-hour workdays and 4 hours of sleep. He was 36 years old and felt 60. "You look like hell, Cook," Frank said when Matthew arrived at the site, hard hat already in place. "You working too much? Need the money." "For what? You live like a monk. No car payment, cheapest apartment in the city, never go out. What are you saving for?" "A debt I owe." Frank studied him with the kind of knowing look that said he'd seen men destroy themselves before. "Must be some debt." "It is." They worked in silence, pouring foundation for a new office building. Matthew's mind drifted as his body performed familiar motions. He'd become efficient at operating on autopilot, hands doing one thing while brain worked on code problems or calculated payment schedules, or replayed that one photo of Maya on the swing over and over until the image was burned into his memory. During lunch break, Matthew didn't eat. Instead, he sat in his car and worked on a freelance project due tonight, fingers flying across his laptop keyboard, a website redesign for a small dental practice. Pay $2,000. Every dollar counted. Every cent went into the spreadsheet, into the payment, into buying back the right to know his daughter. His phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Matthew Cook." "Yes." "This is Jennifer Ward from Channel 7 News. I'm doing a follow-up piece on Gloria Swanson's success story, the single mother who built a bakery empire from nothing. I'd like to get your perspective as her ex-husband. Would you be willing to comment?" No comment. "Mr. Cook, the public is interested in the full story. You were convicted of embezzlement. Your wife left you publicly. Now she's a success and you're—" I said no comment. Matthew hung up, hands shaking. Over the next hour, 5 different journalists called. Someone had leaked his number to the media. They wanted the scandal angle, the "where is he now" piece to contrast with Gloria's triumph. They wanted to make his suffering into entertainment. Matthew turned off his phone and returned to work, focusing on the physical labor to keep his mind from spiraling. That evening, after his construction shift ended at 5 p.m., Matthew drove straight to his warehouse job. No dinner break. He'd eat the protein bar in his car on the way. 8 hours of inventory management stretched ahead, scanning boxes, loading pallets, moving product. His back screamed in protest with every lift. He'd injured it 3 months ago doing overtime and never got it properly treated because he couldn't afford to take time off for a doctor's visit, and physical therapy would cost money he didn't have. The warehouse was always cold. His breath misted in the air as he worked. Around him, other workers moved through their shifts, mostly people like him, working second or third jobs, grinding themselves down to pay for things they couldn't afford. Some had families, some had addictions, some just had bad luck. Matthew fit right in among the desperate. During his warehouse break at midnight, sitting in the break room with fluorescent lights buzzing overhead, he turned his phone back on. The screen lit up with notifications. 17 missed calls, 12 voicemails, 23 text messages, all from reporters wanting statements, interviews, comments on Gloria's success, and one email from Amanda Reeves, Gloria's attorney. "Mr. Cook, several media outlets have contacted Mrs. Swanson requesting information about you and your current circumstances. She has declined all interviews about you and instructed me to inform you that she will not be participating in any stories about your situation. She asks that you also decline interviews. Her success is not about your failure, and she prefers to keep it that way. Also, I'm attaching your updated payment record. You're ahead of schedule by $40,000. Keep this pace and you'll reach the halfway point in 8 months instead of 13. Mrs. Swanson wanted you to know she's noticed your consistency. Matthew opened the attachment, his exhausted eyes struggling to focus on the numbers. Amanda was right. If he maintained current pace, killing himself slowly with work, he could start supervised visits with Maya in 8 months. She'd be 3.5 years old instead of 4. 8 months of his life for 30 minutes less of hers that he'd miss. He worked his warehouse shift fueled by that thought, by the possibility of seeing his daughter's face in person, by the hope that someday she might know his name. When his shift ended at 6 a.m., most people went home to sleep. Matthew went home to shower in 3 minutes of hot water, change clothes, grab his laptop, and head to his Sunday landscaping job. The landscaping company paid cash under the table, which meant no taxes taken out, which meant more money toward the debt. Matthew spent Sundays cutting grass, trimming hedges, planting flowers for wealthy families in neighborhoods he used to live in. The irony wasn't lost on him. He'd once owned a house bigger than most of these, and now he maintained their gardens for minimum wage. One house he worked at, a sprawling property with a pool, tennis court, and gardens that required 3 workers, had children playing in the backyard. A girl about Maya's age, maybe a few months older, ran through the sprinklers while her parents watched from lawn chairs, laughing. The little girl squealed with delight when the water hit her. Her father jumped up and caught her mid-run, swinging her around while she shrieked with joy, her wet hair flying. Matthew watched while he edged the garden beds, invisible in his work clothes and safety vest, to the happy family 50 feet away. The scene burned itself into his memory. The kind of ordinary Sunday afternoon he'd traded away for hotel rooms and lies. His daughter was somewhere having moments like this, maybe with Gloria laughing at her antics, and he was trimming hedges for strangers who'd never know his name. He finished the job 3 hours later, collected his check, $200 cash, and drove home to his apartment as the afternoon sun beat down. His hands were blistered from the hedge trimmers, his back throbbed, his head pounded from dehydration and exhaustion and too much coffee on an empty stomach. His apartment felt like a monk's quarters, because that's exactly what it was. He'd stripped away everything except function, creating a space where comfort was a luxury he couldn't afford and decoration was wasteful. Just the bare minimum to survive while he worked himself toward a goal that kept receding into the distance. 3 more freelance projects waited on his laptop, deadlines looming. Matthew forced himself to sit down at the plastic table and work. His fingers moved across the keyboard while his mind occasionally drifted, but he pulled himself back each time. He coded for 6 hours straight, stopping only when his vision began to blur so badly he couldn't read the screen anymore, and his hands started shaking from exhaustion. He fell onto his mattress at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoon, fully clothed, too tired to even take off his shoes. His alarm was set for 7 p.m., 4 hours of sleep before his overnight warehouse shift started again. 4 hours to recover from 23 hours of work. 4 hours to prepare his body to do it all over again. His phone buzzed just as he was closing his eyes. A text from an unknown number with an attached photo. Matthew almost deleted it. Probably another reporter who'd gotten his number, but something made him open it. The photo showed Maya in a park, pushing herself on a swing, face scrunched in concentration and determination. Her tiny hands gripped the chains. Her curls flew out behind her in the motion. She wore a purple jacket and yellow rain boots that were probably too big for her. The leaves on the ground suggested it was taken recently, maybe even today. No message accompanied the photo, just the image of his daughter, learning independence, growing up without him. Matthew stared at it for 10 minutes, memorizing every detail. Who had sent it? Gloria wouldn't. His mother, Ramona, someone else who knew his number and wanted him to see what he was missing. Or maybe, and this thought made his chest ache, someone who wanted him to see that Maya was okay, was happy, was thriving despite his absence. He saved the photo and set it as his phone's wallpaper, replacing the old hospital photo. When the alarm woke him 4 hours later with a jolt that felt like violence, Maya's face on the swing was the first thing he saw, her face frozen in determination, reaching for something just ahead of her, just like he was. Matthew dragged himself up from the mattress, every muscle protesting. His body was breaking down. He could feel it happening in real time. The way his joints ached constantly, the way his back sent sharp pains down his leg when he bent wrong, the way his vision sometimes went spotty when he stood up too fast from low blood sugar and dehydration. He drove to the warehouse for his overnight shift, his hands shaking slightly on the steering wheel. His manager, Paul, was waiting at the employee entrance, arms crossed. "Cook, you look like you're about to collapse." "I'm fine." "You're not fine. You're moving like you're 80 years old. When's the last time you took a day off?" Matthew calculated back through his mental calendar, through the blur of identical days. 4 months, maybe 5. Paul swore under his breath. "That's not sustainable, man. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to pass out on the job and crack your skull open on concrete." "Can't afford to take time off. It's not optional anymore. You pass out on the job, it's a liability issue. Workers' comp, lawsuits, all that. Take tomorrow night off. That's an order." Matthew wanted to argue. Tomorrow night was 8 hours of wages, 8 hours of payment progress, 8 hours closer to Maya, but his knees buckled slightly just standing there, and he had to grab the doorframe to stay upright. Paul was right. His body was giving out. "Okay," Matthew said quietly. "Tomorrow night off." "Good. And cook. Whatever this debt is that you're killing yourself for, is it worth dying for?" Matthew thought about Maya on that swing, face determined, reaching forward. "Yes, it is." He finished the shift running on pure willpower and spite, the kind of stubborn refusal to quit that was either admirable or stupid depending on perspective. When his warehouse shift ended at 6 a.m. Monday morning, instead of going home, he stopped at a free clinic that opened at 7. He waited in line with other people who couldn't afford regular health care, the working poor, the uninsured, the desperate. A tired-looking doctor examined his back, asked questions Matthew answered honestly, and prescribed physical therapy Matthew couldn't afford, and muscle relaxants that would make him too drowsy to work his 3 jobs. "You need to rest," the doctor said. "Your body is breaking down. At this rate, you're looking at permanent damage, maybe disability. Is whatever you're working toward worth destroying your health?" "It's worth everything." The doctor looked at him with something like pity. "Then at least take ibuprofen and use ice packs. And please, try to sleep more than 4 hours a night. You're not a machine." But that's exactly what Matthew had become. A machine that converted time and labor into money, and money into the possibility of knowing his daughter. When he got home at 9 a.m. after the clinic visit, his phone rang. His mother. He hadn't heard from her in over 2 years, not since she'd walked out of his mansion that terrible morning. His hand shook as he answered. "Mom?" "Matthew." Her voice was formal, distant, but not quite as cold as he'd feared. "I saw the news about Gloria's success. I want you to know that I'm proud of her. She comes to visit me once a month, brings Maya. That little girl is wonderful, smart, funny, brave like her mother." The words hurt more than any physical pain. His mother saw his daughter regularly, had a relationship with her, watched her grow up, and he got anonymous photos sent to his phone like he was a stranger stalking his own child. "I'm glad you have that relationship with them," Matthew managed. "I'm glad Maya knows you." "I'm not calling to hurt you," his mother said, and her voice softened slightly. "I'm calling because Gloria told me about the payment plan. She told me how much you're working. She didn't have to tell me. She wanted me to know that you're trying, that you're suffering, that you're changing." Matthew's breath caught in his chest. He couldn't form words, couldn't push sound past the weight pressing on his lungs. His mother continued, her voice wavering now. "I'm still angry with you, Matthew. What you did to Gloria, what you did to your family, what you threw away, it was unforgivable. But I'm also your mother, and I can't completely cut you out of my heart even though part of me wants to. So I'm calling to say this. Don't kill yourself trying to pay this debt. Maya needs a father who's alive and healthy more than she needs money. She needs you to survive this. I can't slow down, Mom. Every month I delay is another month I miss with her. Every dollar I don't earn is another day before I can see her face. I've already missed 3 years. I can't miss more than I have to. Matthew, you're going to work yourself into a heart attack. I can hear it in your voice. You sound destroyed. I am destroyed. I destroyed myself. This is what fixing it looks like. This is penance. This is earning back something I threw away. His mother was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was thick with emotion. Gloria asked me to call you. She's worried about you. She saw something in the media. Some journalist tried to interview her about where you are now, and she realized people are hounding you. She's worried you're going to hurt yourself. She said if you need to adjust the payment plan, if you need easier terms, her lawyer will work with you. No. Matthew's voice came out fierce, almost angry. I'm not asking for easier terms. I'm not asking for mercy I don't deserve. I'm paying what I promised. Tell Gloria thank you for the concern, but I'm fine. Tell her I'll pay every cent. Tell her I'll earn the right to know Maya even if it kills me. It might kill you. That's what I'm trying to say. Then I'll die having done the one right thing I've managed in 5 years. I'm putting my family first, even if I can't be with them, even if it destroys me. This is the only way I know how to love them now. His mother sighed, a sound of resignation and sorrow. You're as stubborn as your father was. He worked himself into an early grave too. I watched him do it. I won't watch you do the same thing. I'm sorry I wasn't there when Dad died. I'm sorry I was with Lillian instead of at his bedside. I'm sorry for all of it, Mom, for everything. But this is the only apology that matters, showing up through action instead of words. I know you are, I know. His mother's voice broke slightly. Just please, be sorry by staying alive, Matthew. Maya might forgive you someday. She might want to know you, but she can't forgive you if you're dead. She can't have a relationship with you if you work yourself into the ground. She hung up before he could respond, leaving Matthew sitting on his mattress in his prison cell apartment staring at his phone. Gloria was worried about him. After everything, after the public humiliation, after the divorce, after 3 years of radio silence, some small part of Gloria still cared whether he lived or died. Maybe not for him, almost certainly not for him. Probably for Maya, who deserved a father who was alive even if he was absent. But still, Gloria had noticed. Gloria had asked his mother to intervene. Gloria was paying attention to whether he survived this. Matthew lay back on his mattress, staring at his phone's wallpaper. Maya on the swing, reaching forward with determination, and felt something crack open inside his chest. Not breaking. Opening. Like maybe suffering wasn't just punishment. Maybe it was transformation. He fell asleep looking at that photo, and when his alarm went off 4 hours later for his Monday evening construction shift, Maya's face was still the first thing he saw. Mid-swing, reaching forward, not looking back. Matthew pulled himself out of bed, body screaming in protest, and understood something fundamental. This suffering wasn't punishment anymore. It was currency. Every hour of pain bought seconds of possibility. Every dollar earned purchased inches of distance traveled back toward the daughter who didn't know his face. The math was brutal and simple. 3 years down, 4 years to go. Maya would be 7 when the debt was fully paid. But in 8 months, 240 days, he'd reach the halfway point and earn his first supervised visit. 240 days of this grinding, breaking, soul-crushing work. He could survive 240 more days of anything if it meant hearing his daughter's voice say something other than hi through a window. He had to. Chapter 6. The Baptism. 3 years after Gloria walked out of his life, Matthew received a cream-colored envelope in handwriting he'd recognize anywhere, and when he opened it, standing in his apartment that still looked like a prison cell, he found an invitation to Maya's baptism with a note. You've paid $380,000. You've been consistent. You can attend, last row only, no approaching us, 30 minutes maximum. This isn't reconciliation, this is acknowledgement that you've finally done one thing right. Matthew read the invitation 7 times. The baptism was 2 weeks away. He had 14 days to prepare for 30 minutes in the same building as his daughter. Maya Rose Swanson invites you to celebrate her baptism. There was a photo. Maya at 3 wearing a white dress, holding a stuffed rabbit, smiling. She had Gloria's smile, his eyes. Matthew requested time off from all 3 jobs. He'd worked double shifts to make up the money, but this moment was worth it. He went to a thrift store and bought a suit. Navy blue, slightly too big. $15. Got it altered for $12. Haircut for $8. Card for $2. He bought the simplest one and wrote, "To Maya, may you always know you're loved. M." He couldn't write Dad. He hadn't earned that name. The 2 weeks passed in agony. Matthew rehearsed scenarios. What if Maya saw him and asked who he was? What if Gloria changed her mind? His therapist helped him prepare. You're going to feel a lot of emotions. Grief for what you've missed. Hope for what might be possible. Shame. The key is to experience those feelings without acting on them. You're there to witness, not participate. The night before, he couldn't sleep. He drove to St. Catherine's Church at 3 a.m. and sat in the parking lot until dawn, watching the building. He went home, showered 3 times and put on his thrift store suit. He looked in the mirror and barely recognized himself. Grey streaked his temples. Lines carved his face. He looked like a man who'd been through a war. Matthew arrived an hour early. Families began arriving, grandparents, cousins, friends carrying gifts. They filed in, laughing and chatting. At 15 minutes before the service, Gloria's car pulled up. Matthew's breath stopped. Gloria emerged wearing a cream dress. She walked around to the back door, and there was Maya, 3 years old. White baptism gown, flower crown in her dark curls, small white shoes. She held Gloria's hand and skipped toward the church, talking animatedly. Matthew watched his daughter move, heard the cadence of her voice. She was real, alive, growing up beautifully. Gloria's mother appeared, took Maya's other hand, and the 3 of them walked into the church. 3 generations who'd survived his destruction. Matthew waited until 5 minutes after service started, then slipped in through the back door. The church was packed, at least 80 people. He took a seat in the very last pew, partially hidden behind a pillar. The priest spoke about baptism, about community. Matthew couldn't focus. His entire attention was fixed on Maya, sitting in the front row between Gloria and her grandmother. She was swinging her legs. Her flower crown kept slipping, and Gloria kept adjusting it. The ceremony proceeded. Hymns, prayers, readings. Matthew stood when everyone stood, moved through the motions while his heart hammered. Then came the baptism. The priest called Maya forward. Gloria carried her up. The priest spoke about God's love. "Who stands with this child?" the priest asked. "I do." Gloria's voice carried, strong and certain. "I do." Gloria's mother. "We do." A chorus. Aunts, uncles, friends. Everyone in the front row stood, a wall of support surrounding Maya. The priest sprinkled water on Maya's forehead. She giggled at the cold, then looked up at Gloria with complete trust. Gloria kissed her daughter's forehead, and the front of the church erupted in applause. Matthew's eyes burned with tears. His daughter had just been baptized, and he'd watched it like a spy. All those people had stood and claimed Maya. No one had looked back to find him. No one knew he was there. After the ceremony, people filed out to the parish hall. Matthew stayed in his seat, counting to 100. His 30 minutes were almost up. He stood to leave and found Gloria at the end of his pew. He hadn't heard her approach. She didn't look angry, just tired. "You came. You invited me. I didn't think you would. I thought you'd have too much pride to sit in the back." Matthew shook his head. "I don't have pride anymore. I gave up pride 3 years ago." Gloria studied him, really looked at him. Her eyes took in the weight loss, grey hair, cheap suit. "You look terrible." "I've been working hard." "I know. Amanda sends me the payment records." Gloria glanced toward the door. "You're ahead of schedule by almost a year. At this rate, you'll pay off the full debt before Maya starts kindergarten. That's the plan. Why? What do you mean, why? Why are you killing yourself? Amanda told me you're working 80-hour weeks. My mother said you look half dead. You could have negotiated easier terms. Why are you doing this to yourself? Because I owe it to you. I owe it to Maya. You think Maya wants money more than a father who's alive? Gloria's voice rose slightly. You think I spent 3 years demanding this payment plan because I care about the money? Then why? Gloria looked away. Because I needed to know if you'd really changed. If you'd sacrifice for us the way I sacrificed for you. If you'd suffer even a fraction of what I suffered. The money was never the point. Proving you could commit to something hard for years, that was the point. The words hung between them. You've proven it, Gloria said quietly. You've worked yourself half to death for 3 years. You've paid $380,000 when most men would have declared bankruptcy. You showed up here when you could have stayed away. You sat in the back when you wanted to be in front. So I'm going to ask you something. Do you want to meet your daughter? Matthew's legs almost buckled. Yes. She's 3. She doesn't know you. I've told her she has a father who lives far away and is working very hard. She asks about you sometimes. Where's my daddy? She'll ask why you weren't at her baptism. What do you tell her? That you were there. That you came even though it was hard. That you're trying. Gloria's eyes met his. I'm not ready to let you be a full-time father. I'm not ready to trust you with my daughter's heart. But I'm willing to let her meet you. Supervised visits. 1 hour per month. You still can't be alone with her. I'll be there. But you can talk to her. She can start to know you. Does that work? Matthew couldn't speak. He nodded, tears finally escaping. Gloria pulled an envelope from her purse. First visit is next Saturday at 2 p.m. My house address is inside. 1 hour. Don't bring gifts. She doesn't need more toys. Just bring yourself. And Matthew? Don't disappoint her. I've forgiven you for hurting me. I will never forgive you if you hurt her. She walked away, back to the reception. Matthew stood alone in the empty church for 15 minutes, holding the envelope. Then he walked out, got in his car, and drove until he found an empty parking lot where he could break down completely. He'd just been given permission to meet his daughter. After 3 years of suffering, 3 years of payment, 3 years of proving himself, Gloria had given him a chance. 1 hour per month with Maya. It wasn't fatherhood. It wasn't redemption. It wasn't reconciliation. But it was something. And something was more than he'd had yesterday. Matthew sat in his car and let himself cry for the first time since the night Gloria left. Not tears of despair, tears of hope, small, fragile, terrifying hope, but hope nonetheless. Chapter 7. The Breaking Point. 4 years after the night Matthew's life exploded in his living room, he sat in Gloria's home for Maya's 4th birthday party, watching his daughter blow out candles surrounded by 15 children, while he remained in a designated corner 40 feet away, like a dangerous animal being slowly reintroduced to civilization, when Lillian Gish appeared at the front door looking destroyed and desperate, and Gloria's face transformed into something so cold and powerful that every conversation in the room stopped dead. The party had been going well. Matthew had arrived on time, carrying nothing because Gloria's rules were explicit. No gifts, no physical contact, just presence. For the past year, he'd been seeing Maya once a month for supervised visits that felt like job interviews. But slowly, Maya had started warming to him. She knew him now as Matthew, not Daddy, just Matthew, the man who came to visit sometimes. The man Mommy watched carefully. Today's party was Matthew's first time seeing Maya interact with other children. She was the birthday girl, wearing a princess dress Gloria had clearly made by hand. Maya ran between her friends, laughing, completely at ease. He'd been standing in his designated spot, near the kitchen door, far from the main action, for 90 minutes. Gloria had extended his time allowance, 2 hours instead of 1. It felt like a gift and a test. "Can I get you anything?" Gloria's mother asked, approaching with food. She'd thawed toward him over the past year. Not forgiveness exactly, but acknowledgement. "I'm fine. Thank you. You look better than last year. Less like death warmed over. Matthew almost smiled. I'm sleeping 5 hours a night now instead of 4. Luxury. She studied him. You're still working too hard, but I suppose that's your penance. The doorbell rang. Gloria moved to answer it, Maya trailing behind asking who it was. Gloria opened the door and froze. Lillian Gish stood on the porch. She looked nothing like the woman Matthew remembered. Gone was the polished corporate spy. This Lillian wore clothes that hadn't been washed recently. Her hair hung limp. Dark circles carved her eyes. Gloria, Lillian said, voice hoarse. I need to talk to you. Gloria's hand found Maya's shoulder, gently pushing her daughter behind her. You have 30 seconds to get off my property before I call the police. Please, I know you hate me. I deserve it, but I need help. I'm homeless. I've been blacklisted. You won the lawsuit against Palmer's company. You got millions. You need nothing from me. Gloria's voice could have cut glass. You were paid to destroy my family. You succeeded. Now you're facing consequences. That's called justice. Matthew moved closer without thinking. Gloria noticed and held up one hand. Stay back. Lillian's eyes found Matthew. Her face twisted. This is your fault. You ruined me. If you hadn't been so pathetic, if I hadn't been easy to manipulate, you would have found another target, Matthew said quietly. You're a professional. My weakness was your opportunity, but my consequences are mine. Yours are yours. I'm going to starve on the street. Then I suggest you find a shelter, Gloria said. The same way I would have if Matthew had destroyed me instead of just trying. The difference is, I had a baby to protect, and you have nothing but your choices. Live with them. Lillian lunged forward, trying to grab Gloria's arm. You self-righteous... Matthew was between them instantly, catching Lillian's wrist before she could touch Gloria. His other hand pulled out his phone. I'm calling the police right now. Leave voluntarily or explain to them why you're assaulting a single mother at a children's birthday party. Lillian wrenched her arm back, tears streaming. I made one mistake, and now my whole life is destroyed. Welcome to consequences, Gloria said, unmoved. I lost a baby alone. I gave birth alone. I built a business with an infant strapped to my chest because the man I loved was too busy with you. You helped do that. For money. Now you want sympathy? From me? I don't have sympathy for people who profit from pain. I have restraining orders. Would you like one? Lillian backed down the porch steps, face contorted. You think you're so perfect, but you're stuck with him, she pointed at Matthew. As your daughter's father forever. Every birthday, every holiday, you have to see his face. That's my revenge. Gloria's smile was razor sharp. You're right. I'll never be free of him, but I'm also never going to be you, alone, desperate, begging at the door of someone I destroyed, so I'll take my consequences over yours any day. Now get out before I have you arrested. Lillian stumbled down the driveway and disappeared. Gloria closed the door and leaned against it, her composure cracking. Her hands were shaking. Matthew stood very still. Are you okay? I'm fine, but her voice wavered. Maya appeared from the hallway where she'd been hiding. Mommy? Why was that lady yelling? Gloria immediately switched to parent mode, kneeling to Maya's level. That was someone who made bad choices and is angry about it. Sometimes people blame others for their own mistakes, but we don't let angry people into our house, okay? She was scary. I know, baby, but she's gone now. Matthew helped Mommy make sure of that. Gloria looked up at him, something in her expression shifting. Thank you for stepping in. I'll always step in if someone tries to hurt you, both of you. The words hung in the air. Gloria stood, brushing off her dress. Party's almost over. You can stay for cake cutting if you want. I'm extending your time. Are you sure? Maya asked if Matthew could see her blow out candles. I said yes. Gloria's eyes held his. Don't make me regret it. Matthew nodded and returned to his corner. But something had changed. When Maya's friends gathered for cake, Maya looked back at him and waved. Actually waved. Gloria brought Maya over after the cake was cut. the first time she'd voluntarily brought his daughter close. "Maya, do you want to say something to Matthew?" Maya looked up with serious eyes. "Thank you for making the scary lady leave." Matthew crouched to her level, maintaining distance. "You're welcome. I'll always make scary people leave if I can." "Are you a good guy now?" The question destroyed him. "I'm trying to be. I'm not there yet, but I'm trying very hard." Maya considered this. "Mommy says trying is important." "Your mommy is right about everything." Maya giggled. "Not everything. She doesn't like broccoli, and broccoli is good." "Is that so?" "Uh-huh. You should tell her." Matthew glanced at Gloria. "Maybe you can teach her about broccoli." "Okay." Maya ran off to tell her friends that Matthew agreed about broccoli. Gloria stood next to him. For a moment they watched the children play. "She's extraordinary," Matthew said quietly. "She is, and she has no idea yet how much her father threw away to be with a woman like the one who just showed up. I'll tell her someday, when she's old enough. I won't let you carry the burden of explaining my failures." Gloria turned to look at him. "You're different than you were. Not just physically. Something fundamental changed. Suffering changes people. Either it makes them bitter or it burns away the bullshit. I chose to let it burn. And the woman you were sleeping with while I was pregnant just appeared at my door homeless. Does that give you any satisfaction?" Matthew shook his head. "No, I feel sorry for her. She made terrible choices, but so did I. The difference is I had people who gave me a path to redemption. She doesn't." "You feel sorry for the woman who helped destroy your life?" "I feel sorry for anyone who's that lost, even if they're the reason I got lost too." Gloria studied him. "Amanda tells me you'll finish the full debt payment in 18 months if you maintain pace. Maya will be 5.5. That's the plan. And then what? You think we're going to be a family again?" "No." Matthew's answer was immediate. "You're right not to trust me. You're right to keep me at distance. I destroyed us. That's not fixable. But maybe I can be someone who doesn't make Maya's life worse by being in it. That's the best I can hope for." Gloria's face softened slightly. "That's the first realistic thing I've heard you say. You're not trying to win me back." "How could I? You're not a prize to be won. You're a person who I devastated. Winning you back would require you to ignore reality. I'm not asking for that. I'm asking to know my daughter without causing her pain. That's the only thing I have a right to ask for." "Good answer." Gloria paused. "Amanda is going to call you next week. I'm adjusting the payment plan." Matthew's stomach dropped. "What? Why? I haven't missed any. I'm reducing the remaining balance to 0. The world tilted. "What? You heard me. The debt is paid, not in money. You've paid less than half. But in proof, you've proven for 4 years that you're willing to suffer for us. You've worked yourself to exhaustion. You've paid $380,000 when you could have declared bankruptcy. You've sat in corners at parties. You've maintained boundaries. You've become a different person." Gloria's voice was steady, but her eyes were bright. "The money was never the real debt. I needed to know if you'd changed. You have. The financial debt is forgiven." Matthew couldn't process it. "Gloria, don't cry at my daughter's birthday party. There are children present." But her voice was gentle. "This doesn't mean we're together. This doesn't mean I trust you. This means you've earned the right to be Maya's father without an impossible financial burden. She needs her father, a healthy father, not one working himself to death." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll take care of yourself. Say you'll be present for her. Say you'll never make me regret this." "I swear I won't. I'll spend the rest of my life. Stop proving. Start being. That's what Maya needs. Not grand gestures. Just show up. Consistently. Forever." Gloria looked at the children. "Amanda will send paperwork next week. You'll start having visits twice a month. 2 hours each. Still supervised, but extended time. In 6 months, if you're still consistent, we'll discuss unsupervised visits." Matthew's legs felt weak. "Thank you. Thank you doesn't even... I'm not doing this for you, I'm doing it for her. Gloria nodded toward Maya. She deserves a father. You're the only candidate, so don't screw it up. I won't. Gloria walked away. Matthew stayed in his corner, his entire understanding of reality rewriting itself. The debt, the crushing, endless debt, was gone. Not because he'd paid it, because he'd proven himself willing to pay it forever. He watched Maya play for another hour. When the party ended, Gloria didn't ask him to leave. He helped clean up, keeping distance, following rules, but present. Maya said goodbye to each friend, and when the last one left, she turned to Matthew. Are you leaving too? He looked at Gloria, who nodded permission. Yes, but I'll see you again soon. How soon? 2 weeks. That's very soon, Maya seemed pleased. It is. I'm lucky. Maybe next time you can play with me, instead of just watching? The question broke his heart and healed it simultaneously. I'd like that very much. Okay. Bye, Matthew. She ran off to show her grandmother a toy. Gloria walked Matthew to the door. They stood on the porch in the evening light. I haven't forgiven you for what you did to our marriage, Gloria said quietly. I might never forgive that, but I have forgiven you enough to let you be a father. Don't confuse the two. I understand. Do you? Because there's a difference between being in Maya's life and being in mine. I know. I'm not expecting anything from you, just the chance to know her. Gloria crossed her arms. Good. Because I've built a life I'm proud of. I've raised a daughter who's confident and kind. I've created a successful business. I've proven I don't need you or anyone else. Letting you back into Maya's life doesn't change any of that. I know, and I'm glad you did all that. You should be proud. You're extraordinary. Gloria's expression flickered. Surprise, maybe, or something softer. Don't start thinking this is a second chance at us. This is a first chance at being a father. Focus on that. I will. I promise. He walked to his car. Through the window, he could see Gloria and Maya inside, cleaning up decorations together. Mother and daughter, a complete unit, letting him observe from outside. But this time, Maya waved at him through the window, and he waved back. The debt was forgiven. His daughter wanted him to play with her next time. Gloria had seen him defend her against Lillian and hadn't looked at him with contempt afterward. 4 years of suffering had led to this moment. Not redemption, not reconciliation, but something that felt like the beginning of a path forward. Matthew drove home to his small apartment, and for the first time in 4 years, he didn't immediately calculate dollars per hour earned, because the goal had shifted. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about showing up, being present, becoming the father Maya deserved, and maybe, just maybe, proving to Gloria that the man she'd married had finally died, and someone better had emerged from the wreckage. Chapter 8. The Introduction. 4 years and 6 months after the night Matthew threw away everything that mattered, he sat cross-legged on Gloria's living room floor, playing a board game with Maya, while Gloria watched from the couch, pretending to work, but actually observing every interaction, when Maya said completely unprompted with the brutal honesty only a 4-year-old possesses, "Matthew, why don't you live here with me and Mommy like other daddies live with their kids?" The question stopped time. Matthew's hand froze halfway to moving his game piece. Gloria's typing stopped. The only sound was the kitchen clock ticking. This was the 6th supervised visit since Gloria had forgiven the debt. They'd fallen into a rhythm. Matthew arrived, Maya was excited to see him. They played while Gloria supervised, and Matthew left when time was up. Simple, careful, working. But Maya's questions had been getting more direct. Do you have a house? Why do you only come on Saturdays? Do you have other kids or just me? Each question was a landmine. Matthew answered honestly but simply. Yes, he had an apartment. He came on Saturdays because that's when Mommy said he could. Just her. She was his only child. But this question was different. This question went to the heart of everything broken. Matthew set down his game piece carefully. That's a very good question, Maya. The answer is complicated. Can I try to explain it? Maya nodded seriously, her dark curls bouncing. She'd inherited Gloria's hair and his eyes. The combination was striking. Matthew glanced at Gloria. She gave him the smallest nod. Go ahead, but choose carefully. A long time ago, before you were born, I made some very bad choices, Matthew began. I hurt Mommy very badly. When you hurt someone that much, you don't get to live with them anymore. You have to live somewhere else and work very hard to show them you're sorry and you've changed. Did you say sorry? Many times. But sometimes sorry isn't enough. Sometimes you have to show you're sorry by changing who you are. That takes a long time. Maya processed this with intense concentration. But you're changed now, right? So you can come live here? It's not that simple, sweetheart. Think about when you broke your friend's toy last month. You said sorry and felt bad. But did that make the toy unbroken? No, it was still broken. Right. My bad choices broke something very important between me and Mommy. Saying sorry and changing doesn't unbreak it. Mommy gets to decide if she wants me around, and right now, she's being very kind by letting me visit you. But visiting is different from living together. Maya turned to Gloria. Mommy, is he a good guy now? Gloria closed her laptop slowly. Matthew could see her weighing how to answer. He's trying very hard to be a good guy, and trying is important. But adults have complicated feelings about people who hurt them, even if those people change. Do you still have hurt feelings? Yes, baby, I do. Some hurts take a very long time to heal. Maybe forever. Maya looked between them, her small face troubled. But you're both nice to each other when he comes over. That's because even when grown-ups have hurt feelings, they can still be polite, especially for important things, like making sure you get to know your father. Gloria's voice was steady, but Matthew heard the weight behind every word. Is Matthew my father? I thought fathers lived with their kids. Some fathers do, some don't. Families come in lots of different shapes. Matthew is your biological father. That means he's the person who helped make you when you were just a tiny baby in Mommy's tummy. But he wasn't able to be a daddy for a long time because of those bad choices we talked about. Now he's learning how to be a good father. We're giving him a chance to figure it out. Maya turned back to Matthew. Are you figuring it out? The question was so earnest, so open, that Matthew's voice caught. I'm trying my best. You make it easy because you're such an amazing kid. I am amazing, Maya agreed with no false modesty. Mommy says I'm smart and kind and strong. She's right. You're all those things. Can you come to my school thing next week? We're doing a show about animals and I'm a dolphin. Matthew looked at Gloria, afraid to presume. Gloria sighed. Yes, he can come if he wants to. I definitely want to, Matthew said immediately. Yay, Maya clapped. You have to sit with Mommy, though. All the parents sit together. I'll sit wherever Mommy tells me to sit. They returned to the board game. But the question hung in the air. Why don't you live here like other daddies? Because I destroyed that possibility before you were even born. The visit ended as scheduled. Maya hugged Matthew goodbye. Still careful, still supervised, but genuine. She'd started hugging him 2 visits ago. After Maya went to play in her room, Gloria walked Matthew to the door. They stood on the porch in the afternoon sun. You handled that question well, Gloria said. Better than I expected. I tried to be honest without being traumatizing. She's going to have more questions as she gets older, harder ones. She's going to ask why Mommy and Daddy aren't married. She's going to ask about our relationship. She's going to ask if we loved each other. What do you want me to tell her? Gloria leaned against the porch railing. The truth, age appropriately. We married young. We loved each other. I made mistakes. You made bigger mistakes. And we couldn't fix it. She needs to know that relationships ending doesn't mean anyone stopped loving her. What if she asks if I still love you? Gloria's jaw tightened. What would you tell her? Matthew chose his words carefully. I'd tell her that I'll always care about you because you gave me the greatest gift I could ever have, her. And that I'll always be grateful you're her mother because there's no one better for the job. Is that acceptable? It's a diplomatic answer, is it true? Every word. Gloria studied him. The school program is Tuesday at 10 a.m. You'll need to take time off work. Can you manage that? I'll make it work. There will be other parents there, people who know our history. There will be whispers and stares. Can you handle that? I don't care what anyone thinks. I care about being there for Maya. Good. Gloria pulled out her phone. I'm texting you the school address. Arrive by 9:45. The program is an hour. You can sit with me, but understand. We're not presenting as a couple. We're two parents coexisting for our child. Nothing more. I understand. Do you? Gloria's eyes were sharp. Because I see how you look at me sometimes when you think I'm not watching, like you're hoping for something that isn't going to happen. Matthew felt his face heat. I'm sorry. I don't mean to make you uncomfortable. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm being clear. You've earned the right to be Maya's father. You haven't earned anything else. Keep those things separate. I will. I promise. Gloria turned to go inside, then paused. For what it's worth, you're good with her. Maya lights up when you're around. I didn't think that would happen. But she's forming her own relationship with you, independent of my feelings. That's good. That's what should happen. Thank you for making it possible. Thank you for being someone I can trust enough to make it possible. That's not nothing. It's actually everything. She went inside and closed the door gently. Matthew walked to his car, his heart full of complicated emotions. Tuesday arrived. Matthew took the morning off, wearing clean clothes and carrying flowers, not for Gloria, but for Maya to give her after the show. Small daisies that cost $8, age-appropriate, not excessive. Gloria was already in the auditorium, saving a seat. She dressed professionally. Matthew felt shabby next to her in his best jeans and button-down, but she nodded at the seat next to her. You made it. I said I would. Other parents filed in. Matthew saw recognition in some faces, whispers starting. The disgraced ex-husband, the man who'd cheated and embezzled. Gloria seemed unbothered. The program began. 24-year-olds in animal costumes performed a chaotic, adorable show. Maya was a dolphin, wearing a grey costume Gloria had clearly made. She sang her lines loud and proud, missing words, but making up for it with enthusiasm. Matthew's chest ached watching her. His daughter, on stage, being wonderful and weird and perfectly herself. When Maya spotted him and Gloria sitting together, her whole face lit up. She waved enthusiastically, nearly knocking over the child next to her. Gloria waved back, laughing. Matthew waved too, and Maya's smile got impossibly bigger. After the show, children ran to their parents. Maya launched herself at Gloria first, as she should, then turned to Matthew. Did you see me? I was the best dolphin. You were incredible. I brought you flowers for being such a talented dolphin. Maya took the daisies with reverence. I love them. Can I keep them forever? They'll last about a week if you put them in water, but we can press one in a book so you can keep it even longer if you want. Yes. Mommy, can we do that? Gloria smiled. We'll press one when we get home. Thank you, Matthew. That was thoughtful. They walked out together, Gloria, Maya, and Matthew, looking to any observer like a normal family. But Matthew felt the careful distance Gloria maintained, the way she kept Maya between them, the reminder that this was co-parenting, not reconciliation. In the parking lot, Maya hugged both of them goodbye. This was the best day. Both my parents came. After Maya and Gloria drove away, a woman approached Matthew. He recognized her vaguely, maybe one of Gloria's friends. You're Matthew, right? Yes. I'm Jennifer. I know Gloria from the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to say, I've heard your story. What you did was awful, but showing up here today, being present for your daughter, that takes guts. Don't screw it up. She walked away before he could respond. Matthew sat in his car for a moment, processing. The whispers, the judgment, the woman's blunt warning, it was all deserved. He'd made his bed, one supervised visit at a time, one school program at a time, one pressed flower at a time, building something that would never erase the past but might create a livable future. For Maya, for himself, maybe eventually for Gloria too, though not in the way he'd once hoped. Just the chance to exist in her orbit without causing pain, to be someone she could trust to love their daughter well. That was enough. It had to be. Chapter 9. The Climb. 4 years and 11 months after Gloria destroyed Matthew's life in front of everyone who mattered, he received a phone call the week before Christmas from Gloria, asking in a voice that was carefully neutral but held something underneath, maybe hope, maybe fear, if he wanted to spend Christmas morning with Maya, because their daughter had asked specifically if Matthew could see me open presents, since he's my daddy, and daddies are supposed to be there for Christmas. And Matthew said yes so fast he nearly dropped his phone. The visits had increased over the past 6 months. Twice a week now instead of twice a month, 3 hours each instead of 2. Gloria still supervised, but she'd started leaving the room occasionally, going to check on laundry, making phone calls, giving them space. Maya called him Daddy now instead of Matthew. The shift had happened organically 3 months ago. She'd been telling him a story about school and had said, "And then I told my friend that my daddy is teaching me chess." And Gloria had looked up sharply, but Maya had continued talking as if it was natural. Gloria had pulled Matthew aside later. "She started calling you Daddy at school a few weeks ago. I didn't correct her. It felt wrong to tell her she couldn't when you are technically her father. I can ask her to call me Matthew if you prefer." "No, she needs to navigate this on her terms. If calling you Daddy helps her make sense of her world, so be it. Just make sure you live up to the name." "I will, I swear." Now Matthew stood in a shopping mall 4 days before Christmas, staring at toys and trying to figure out what a 4.5-year-old girl would want. He'd texted Gloria, "What should I get Maya for Christmas?" Her response, "Nothing expensive. She has too many toys already, something thoughtful." Matthew walked the aisles for 2 hours. Action figures, too aggressive. Dolls, she had dozens. He was about to give up when he saw it. A beginner's astronomy kit with glow-in-the-dark stars and a simple telescope. Maya had mentioned stars twice during visits. Once she'd pointed at the night sky and said, "I wish I could touch the stars." Another time she'd drawn a picture of space and explained which planets were which. He bought the kit, added a book about constellations, wrapped them himself messily and included a card. "To Maya, may you always reach for the stars. Love, Daddy." He'd hesitated over "Love, Daddy" for 10 minutes before writing it. Was that presumptuous? But how else should a father sign a card to his daughter? Christmas morning arrived cold and clear. Matthew woke at 5 a.m., too nervous to sleep. Gloria had said to arrive at 8. He was ready by 6:30, sat in his apartment staring at the wrapped gifts, and forced himself to wait until 7:45. He pulled up to Gloria's house at exactly 8. Gloria answered the door wearing pajamas and a robe, her hair in a messy bun. He'd never seen her this casual. She always got dressed before his visits, armor in place. But this morning she looked soft, sleepy, real. "Merry Christmas," she said, stepping aside. "Fair warning, Maya woke up at 5:30 a.m., asking if it was time for presents yet. She's been vibrating with excitement for 2.5 hours. I'll brace myself." Maya appeared at the top of the stairs in princess pajamas, saw Matthew and screamed, "Daddy, you're here for Christmas!" She ran down the stairs so fast Gloria moved to catch her if she fell, but Maya made it down safely and threw herself at Matthew's legs. He caught her, lifted her up. First time Gloria had allowed him to pick her up without explicit permission, and Maya wrapped her arms around his neck so tight he could barely breathe. "I'm so happy you're here. This is the best Christmas ever." Matthew's eyes burned. He buried his face in his daughter's wild curls and let himself feel the moment. This was real. This was his child, in his arms, genuinely happy to see him. Gloria watched from the hallway, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, small, but genuine. Coffee's ready if you want some. Maya, let Daddy breathe. They moved to the living room. The Christmas tree was modest but beautiful, clearly decorated by Maya based on the concentration of ornaments in the bottom third. Presents were stacked underneath, many for Maya, a few for Gloria, and Matthew noticed with a jolt 2 wrapped gifts with his name on them. "You got me presents?" Maya insisted, Gloria said. "She used her allowance. I helped her shop." Maya bounced on her toes. "Can we open presents now, please?" Gloria looked at Matthew. "What do you think, Daddy? Is it time?" The question, the casual inclusion, it felt monumental. "I think it's definitely time." Maya dove for the presents. Gloria sat on the couch with coffee, and Matthew sat in a chair nearby. They watched Maya tear through wrapping paper with enthusiasm. She opened Gloria's gifts first. Clothes, books, art supplies, each received enthusiastic appreciation. Then she got to Matthew's gift. She read the tag carefully. "To Maya, from Daddy." She looked up at him. "You got me something?" "I did. I hope you like it." She opened it carefully, more carefully than she'd opened Gloria's gifts, as if something from him was more fragile. When she saw the telescope and stars, her eyes went huge. "Real stars, for my ceiling." "They glow in the dark," Matthew explained, "and the telescope is for looking at real stars outside. We can learn the constellations together if you want. Can we put them up tonight? Can we look at stars tonight?" "If Mommy says it's okay." Maya turned pleading eyes on Gloria. "Please, Mommy." Gloria's throat worked. "Yes, baby, we can put them up tonight. Maybe Daddy can help." "Yes!" Maya rushed to hug Matthew again. "This is my favorite present ever. Thank you, Daddy." Matthew held his daughter, this miracle, and tried not to cry. He wasn't entirely successful. After all her presents were open, Maya remembered the 2 gifts with Matthew's name. "Daddy, these are for you, from me and Mommy." Gloria cleared her throat. "The small one is from Maya. The other one is from me. You don't have to open them now." "I want to." Matthew took the small package first, wrapped in paper Maya had clearly chosen, covered in cartoon animals. Inside was a framed crayon drawing. It showed 3 stick figures labeled Mommy, Me, and Daddy. They were holding hands in front of a house under a sun. "I drawed us," Maya explained. "That's our family." Matthew couldn't speak. He just stared at the drawing, at the simple representation of what his daughter saw when she thought of family, him included. "Do you like it?" Maya asked, suddenly uncertain. "I love it more than anything I've ever been given. I'm going to put it in my apartment where I can see it every single day." Maya beamed. "Open Mommy's present now." The second package was heavier, more carefully wrapped. Inside was a leather-bound photo album. Matthew opened it with shaking hands. The first page showed Maya as a newborn. Every subsequent page documented her growth. First smile, first time sitting up, first tooth, first steps, first birthday, every milestone he'd missed. The last page had a recent photo of all 3 of them at Maya's school program. Someone had snapped a picture of Gloria, Matthew and Maya standing together, Maya between them holding her flowers. Under the photo, Gloria had written, "The past can't be changed, but the future can be built. Here's to building something good." Matthew looked up at Gloria. She was watching him with careful eyes. "Thank you," he managed. I don't have words. You missed a lot. You can't get it back. But you can know about it. You can see what she was like, and maybe it will help you understand who she's becoming." Gloria's voice was steady, but soft. "The album goes up to now. Maybe next year I'll give you another one. Or maybe by then you'll be there enough to take the pictures yourself." They spent the morning together. Gloria made pancakes in the shape of Christmas trees that Maya insisted Matthew had to try. They watched a Christmas movie. Maya sat between them on the couch, her head on Matthew's shoulder, holding Gloria's hand, connecting them. When Maya fell asleep during the second movie, Gloria carefully extracted herself and gestured for Matthew to follow her to the kitchen. Coffee, she offered. Please. They stood in her kitchen while Maya slept in the living room, and something felt different, less guarded. She's happy, Gloria said quietly. Having you here. I wasn't sure it was the right decision, but looking at her face this morning, I made the right call. Thank you for trusting me with this. You've earned it. Finally. After almost 5 years. She handed him a coffee mug. Amanda is going to call you next week. We're formally establishing a custody arrangement. You'll have Maya every other weekend, Friday night through Sunday afternoon, and 1 weeknight dinner each week. Matthew nearly dropped the mug. Are you serious? Maya is almost 5. She'll start kindergarten in the fall. She needs stability and routine, which means we need a formal arrangement. You've proven you're consistent. You've proven you care. It's time to make this official. Gloria, I don't know what to say. Say you'll continue showing up. Say you'll put her first. Say you'll never make me regret this. Gloria's eyes met his. I'm giving you shared custody. That means you're going to make decisions about her life. That means you'll be at school events and doctor appointments and all the boring, hard parts of parenting. Can you handle that? Yes. Absolutely yes. Good. She turned to look at Maya sleeping. She deserves to know both her parents love her. You've proven you love her. That's what matters. What about you? The question escaped before Matthew could stop it. What about me? Do you hate me less? Gloria considered. I don't hate you. I haven't hated you for a while. I'm still angry about what you did. I'm still hurt. But I'm also impressed. You became someone different, someone better. That takes incredible strength. Or incredible desperation. Maybe both. She smiled slightly. Look, I'm not saying we're friends. I'm not saying I forgive everything. But I'm saying I see you. I see the work you've done. I see the father you're becoming. And I'm willing to build a co-parenting relationship that's functional and healthy. For Maya. Just for Maya? Gloria's expression shuttered. Don't push it, Matthew. I'm giving you a lot today. Be grateful for what you have instead of asking for what you don't deserve. You're right. I'm sorry. They stood in her kitchen sipping coffee while their daughter slept nearby, and Matthew felt something he hadn't felt in 5 years. Contentment, not happiness exactly, but a sense that maybe, possibly, the worst was behind him. When Maya woke up, they spent the rest of the day together. Gloria ordered Chinese food for dinner. They ate together like a normal family, passing containers and laughing at Maya's stories. As Matthew was leaving that night, Maya hugged him tight. Will you come back tomorrow? Not tomorrow, sweetie, but very soon. And next week, you're going to come stay at my apartment for a whole weekend. Really? Maya looked at Gloria for confirmation. Really? We'll pack your bag together. You'll have your own special area at Daddy's house. Maya's joy was incandescent. She hugged Matthew again, then ran off to play with her new telescope. Gloria walked Matthew to the door. In the porch light, she looked younger than her years, or maybe just less burdened. Thank you for today, Matthew said. It meant everything. You're welcome. Merry Christmas, Matthew. Merry Christmas, Gloria. He walked to his car, got in, and sat for a moment, looking at Maya's drawing of their family. 3 stick figures holding hands. 5 years ago, he'd destroyed his family through selfishness and stupidity. Today, he'd spent Christmas morning with his daughter. Next week, she'd sleep in his apartment. It wasn't the family he'd had. It was something new, built on honesty and hard work and painful growth. But it was real, and it was his. Chapter 10. The Redemption. 5 years after Matthew Cook walked into his mansion to find his pregnant wife surrounded by witnesses ready to watch his public execution, he stood in Gloria's flagship bakery, watching her cut the ribbon on her 20th location, while his 5-year-old daughter Maya held his hand and asked, "Daddy, isn't Mommy amazing?" And he answered truthfully, "She's the most amazing person I've ever known," and meant every syllable. The bakery opening was massive. Press coverage, local politicians, business leaders. Gloria had become a genuine success story. Her empire now spanned the entire region. 20 locations, 2 cookbooks, a television show in development, net worth estimated at $15 million. Matthew stood in the crowd with Maya, watching Gloria give a speech about perseverance and building something from nothing. She wore a royal blue dress and spoke with confidence. The woman at that microphone bore little resemblance to the person he'd destroyed, except for the fierce intelligence that had always been there. This business started in a tiny storefront with a 3-month-old baby in a crib in the back room, Gloria said. I mixed dough while nursing my daughter. I decorated cakes at 2 in the morning after she finally fell asleep. Single mothers are told we can't have it all. I'm here to prove we can build it ourselves. The crowd applauded. Maya squeezed Matthew's hand. Mommy talks about me. She does because you're part of her story. Are you part of her story too? I'm part of the hard parts. She's part of the good parts because she survived those hard parts. After the ceremony, people swarmed Gloria. Matthew kept Maya back, giving Gloria space. This was her day, her triumph. He was just a spectator, but Maya had other plans. She pulled free and ran through the crowd. Mommy, we're here! Gloria's face transformed when she saw Maya. She scooped her up, spinning her around while cameras flashed. Then her eyes found Matthew. For a moment, their gazes held. 5 years of history, pain, growth, and careful rebuilding passed between them. Then Gloria mouthed, "Come here." Matthew navigated through the crowd. When he reached them, Gloria adjusted Maya on her hip and said to the photographer nearby, "Get one of all 3 of us." The photographer's eyes widened. This was the story. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Gloria handed Maya to Matthew. "Hold her while I fix her hair." Matthew held his daughter while Gloria smoothed Maya's curls, the 3 of them close together, and the photographer captured it. The crowd eventually dispersed. Gloria had to stay for interviews and meetings. Matthew took Maya to get ice cream nearby, their every Wednesday evening routine. "Mummy was so pretty today," Maya said around chocolate. "Were you proud?" "So proud. Your mommy is incredible." "Do you love mommy?" Matthew's spoon stopped halfway to his mouth. "I care about your mommy very much. I want her to be happy and successful." "But do you love her?" "The kind of love you're asking about is complicated. Your mommy and I hurt each other a long time ago. We're being good parents together now, and that's what matters. But you could love her again if you wanted to. It's not about wanting to, sweetheart. It's about what mommy wants, and she wants us to be good at taking care of you." Maya licked her ice cream thoughtfully. "I think you should marry mommy again." Matthew's heart clenched. "Why's that?" "Because then we'd all live together. I have 2 houses now, and that's okay. But 1 house would be easier. And you and mommy smile at each other sometimes when you think I'm not looking." Kids saw everything. Even if I wanted that, and I'm not saying I do, mommy would have to want it too. And she's happy with how things are now. Have you asked her? Asked her what? If she wants to marry you again. Out of the mouths of children. No, honey, I haven't. Maybe you should. Then you'd know. They finished ice cream, and Matthew drove Maya back to Gloria's house. Gloria was in the kitchen when they arrived, still in her blue dress but barefoot now, reviewing paperwork. She looked exhausted and exhilarated. "Did you have fun?" she asked Maya. "Daddy bought me chocolate ice cream, and I told him he should marry you again." Gloria's pen froze. Her eyes shot to Matthew's. "Did you now?" "It was her idea," Matthew said quickly. "I was very clear that—" "That what? That you don't want to?" Gloria's tone was unreadable. "That it's not up to me. It's up to you, obviously." Maya, oblivious to the tension, ran off to play. Gloria and Matthew stood in the kitchen, the question hanging between them. "She's been asking me too," Gloria admitted. "Why we're not married. Why Daddy doesn't live here. I've explained it as best I can, but she's 5. She wants simple answers. What do you tell her? That adults sometimes can't be married even if they're good at being parents together, that our family works differently and that's okay. Is it okay, the current arrangement? Gloria set down her pen. Are you asking me something, Matthew? I'm asking if you're happy with how things are. I'm asking if you're asking me something. Matthew's pulse raced. Was he? Somewhere in that time he'd realized that Gloria wasn't just the mother of his child or the woman he'd wronged. She was still the person he loved. Gloria, I know I don't deserve another chance with you. I know I destroyed what we had. But Maya asked if I love you, and I didn't know how to answer because the truth is complicated. What is the truth? The truth is, I love the person you've become. I love how you parent our daughter. I love watching you build your empire. I love that you're strong enough to let me into Maya's life despite everything. I love you. But not in a way that demands anything, just in a way that's grateful you exist. Gloria was very still. That's the first honest thing you've said about us in 5 years. I didn't think I had the right to say it before. You don't, but I appreciate the honesty anyway. She turned back to her paperwork, but her hands were shaking slightly. I'm not ready for that conversation. I might never be ready. I know, I'm not asking for anything, Maya asked, and I realized I've been lying to her and to myself by pretending I don't have feelings. I do. But they're mine to manage. Good, because I have a business to run and a daughter to raise and an entire life that works exactly the way it is. Then we won't complicate things. We'll keep doing exactly what we're doing. Can you do that? Knowing you have feelings. Can you keep being professional? I've been doing it for 2 years. I can keep doing it. Okay. But something in her voice wavered. Okay. Matthew collected Maya's backpack and said goodbye. As he was leaving, Gloria called after him. Matthew, he turned back. Thank you for saying it. Even though I'm not ready to deal with it. Thank you for being honest. Always. From now on, always honest. 6 months passed. Matthew found a townhouse with 2 bedrooms. Gloria helped him shop for furniture for Maya's room. Maya thrived on the new schedule. A week at Mommy's bakery empire, a week at Daddy's modest townhouse. Different worlds, both filled with love. One Saturday, Matthew was teaching Maya to ride a bike without training wheels when Gloria showed up unexpectedly. She watched from the sidewalk as Maya wobbled and fell and got back up. When Maya finally made it 10 feet without falling, both parents cheered. Coffee, Matthew offered Gloria. Sure. They sat on his small patio while Maya practiced in the driveway. I've been thinking about what you said, Gloria finally said. About feelings and honesty? Matthew's heart rate spiked. Okay. I'm not ready to trust you romantically. I don't know if I'll ever be ready. You broke something in me that might not be fixable. I understand. But, she turned to look at him, I'm not close to the possibility of eventually maybe considering it. In the distant future, if you continue being who you are now. Gloria, I'm not promising anything. I'm just saying I'm not saying never. There's a difference. Her eyes were serious. You've spent 5 years becoming someone different, someone better. I've watched you sacrifice and suffer and rebuild yourself. That means something. It doesn't erase the past, but it means something. What are you saying? I'm saying let's see where we are in another year, or 2, or 5. Let's keep co-parenting. Let's keep being honest. Let's keep showing Maya that adults can work together even when things are hard. And maybe eventually, if we're both ready, and it makes sense, and it won't hurt Maya, maybe we can see if there's something worth rebuilding. It wasn't a promise. It wasn't even hope, really. Just the smallest possibility. But Matthew had learned to survive on possibilities. I can do that. Good. Because Maya deserves to see healthy relationships, not desperate ones. If we ever try again, it has to be from a place of strength, not need. Agreed. Maya rode past successfully, shrieking with joy. I'm doing it! They both cheered. Gloria reached over and squeezed Matthew's hand briefly, the first intentional touch in 5 years that wasn't about handing over their daughter. It lasted only a second, but it was enough. Maya fell 20 seconds later. Before Matthew could move, Gloria was already running. He followed. They reached Maya simultaneously, each taking a hand, helping their daughter stand. "I'm okay," Maya announced, brushing off her knees. "I'm brave like Mommy." "You are," they said together. Maya looked between them, beaming. "You're both here. Both my parents." And that's what they were. Both her parents, doing their best, showing up. The future was uncertain. Maybe Gloria would eventually trust him enough to try again. Maybe they'd always be nothing more than co-parents who got along. But either way, they'd given Maya what she deserved. 2 parents who loved her enough to put aside their own damage and build something that worked. Matthew looked at Gloria over their daughter's head and saw not the wife he'd destroyed, but a partner he respected, a woman he admired, a person who'd given him the greatest gift imaginable, a chance to be someone better. "Thank you," he mouthed. Gloria shook her head slightly, but she was smiling. "Let's get this girl back on her bike." They spent the afternoon together, teaching Maya to ride, celebrating small victories, picking her up when she fell, like a family. Maybe not the family they'd been, but family nonetheless, and that was enough.